Okay, let's turn the power up then. It's about the same as the beacon. Just have a look. D4 on my kit. That's good. Right, good evening all. Welcome to the BATC QO100 Net. We have Jim G7NTG to go first, then John G7JTT, then Roger GLHKN, Rob M0S, Richard GI4DOH, Bernie G4HJW, Noel GTZ, James G0DQH, Nick G4NKV, and Colin G4KLB so far. If anybody else is there and I've missed them, please enter again on the chat. Especially pleased to welcome GLHKN tonight. I missed him last week. He and I used to do ATV on 70SEMS AM back in the late 70s, so good to see him on the satellite. Anyway, first of all, round to Jim G7NTG to take it, G8GKQ and the BATC Net.
Right, just wait for everything to settle and wait till I get a picture. There we go. Turn off my sound. Right. Good evening all. It is a good size net tonight, and there's been a lot of loud noises outside, but they seem to have died down a bit. I finally bit the bullet and I've loaded the development version of the Ryde, which is performing very, very nicely, and I'm very pleased with the report readout. That's working extremely well. So and I've also copied cards not only for the Ryde but for the Portsdown 4, so I've built cards for quite a lot of people now, and they're all running all happily with stuff, so they're all saying, oh, give it to Jim, he can do it. Although I've had my moments, as Dave will agree, with the Portsdown 4 trying to load the wrong software on. A senior moment, I think. I've also been playing about with some very high power amplifiers. I'm going to excuse the very bad camera work, and here we have a PA using a Nokia, I believe it is, board, and this runs off 32 volts. But saturated power is 300 watts, and P1 dB is just starting to compress at 250 watts, which is awesome. But it does draw nearly a kilowatt at full power at 300 watts output, so it's not very efficient. It's a dirty amplifier, but it's definitely not efficient because I think it might be on the wrong frequency. Also, it's on a colossal heatsink, which is a really massive, great heatsink, and an enormous fan, which you can see there. So that's what I've been playing with. I'm still doing a lot of testing on it. Once a person has asked me, what's the band spread like? What's it like on other frequencies? And I haven't tested it. I only tested it on S-Hail frequencies. I've also got to figure out a way of applying a PTT to it, because there isn't any. It's just HT and bias straight on. So it's on. You can't blow it up. It's impossible. It's bomb-proof. And the only modification necessary was to remove the two circulators. This one and this one. But I didn't remove them, I've just bypassed them, taken them out of the circuit and bypassed them. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. So without further ado, with so many on, I'm going to pass it round to G7JTT, John. So over to you, sir.
Right, good evening all. Trust everybody's safe and well. Let me just make sure I get some audio. Yep, I hear myself humming. As always, not too much here. It's been a bit just nuts really. So I'm just working out what people's things are tonight. Right, so yeah, things are nuts at work. It's yeah, as Colin will probably say later on, it's worse than I've ever known it, which is good because, you know, let's face it, it keeps me employed, so I can eventually, when I get some time, buy some more things to play with. But still, so as I have nothing really to show, I do have a little video. Now, for those of you within the UK, you'll know that in the last lockdown, our population, I suppose, I don't know the right word to use, but they stripped the stores of loo roll. So anywhere you went, you couldn't get loo roll anywhere. So apparently the RAF have been brought in this time to help out. So apologies, people have already seen this, but they've already been doing some emergency drops elsewhere in the country. And if I do that, hopefully you should see some video evidence of it. Anyway, just a bit of fun. Oh, and someone said about what's these numbers? No, there. That's my received stuff. So you can see on there it's call provider, the QO100 frequency, the actual frequency that the LMB is given to the mini tuner, mode, FEC, SR, MER, required MER to get a signal, D number, nulls, which I think are a little bit curious if they actually work because they just seem to be very random, audio type, video type, and status as locked. And I can get rid of that by doing that. So anyway, with that, I should pass it round to, I should have paid more attention, G8HKN, round to you, G7JTT.
Right, audio test. Right, audio test. Okay, that should be long enough for everybody to manually auto-PID. And I've got a signal, so we should be alright. And hopefully, I'm just waiting for my pictures to appear. Yes, I'm there. Okay, I've made a list because I don't want to miss anything out. Good evening all, this is the first time on the net and please be kind to me. Name is Roger, QTH is Orpington in Kent. It was in Kent until 1965, in fact when Greater London was formed. So we're now in the London Borough of Bromley, and I usually say we're just on the southeast edge of Greater London, near junction 4 of the M25. I've been licensed since 1973 and a very inactive member of the BATC since 1976. And Dave's almost stole my thunder here, because he mentioned something earlier, which I was just about to. Looking at my logbook for the mid-1970s, I see that one of the most popular call signs at the time was a G8 GKQ. I wonder what happened to him. I think at that time, or some of the early part of that time, Dave was actually still at school. I may be wrong, but I think he was. That was all before he left for his illustrious career, and we lost contact. I enjoyed Cat 20, what must be a couple of weeks ago now. I was pleased to see Clive G3GJA on there after not seeing him for 50 years. We were at college together 1969, 1970 down in Rochester, and I hadn't seen any moving pictures of Clive, only the still picture in CQTV in all that time. So it was nice to see what he looks like after all this time, and if he's watching on the streamer, then he will be seeing me. He was known as G8EQZ then, not to the G3 call sign. That's his father's call that the authorities were able to give him. And also on the Cat 20, it was nice to see one of my test cards on the Winter Hill presentation. For some reason I was expecting it not to be called Winter Hill, but be called Hailing. So I think I've been fed with some duff information there, or some false news or whatever. And to Jim, he does like his high power amplifiers. I've got one of Jim's amplifiers, and it's running at about 45 watts, let alone 200 or what. And a message to John: I think you're transmitting 16:9, but you're always sending it out at 4:3, so I have to manually change to 16:9. I don't know if that's a 265 problem or whatever. I think that's just about it. Unfortunately, oh, it's Rob. Okay, yeah. I put down the names of the stations before me, but didn't do the one after. That's stuff, wasn't it?
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Oh yes, there I am. Yep, good evening all. Not sure what's happened there, sort of panic at the last minute. Anyway, with me jumping in there, but everything seems to be going okay, and I'm on the right frequency. I didn't get trying this frequency earlier, but let's see. The nice thing, things have been very stable for the last couple of weeks. I'm very pleased that I can just switch on and everything seems to work okay. So the Nokia amplifier that I'm using now, not quite the sort of power levels that you're running, Jim. I'm taking about just under 10 amps at 28 volts at the moment, so somewhat less than 100 watts going all the way down to the corner of the garden, and seems to do the job. Just get rid of the text at the bottom of the screen. So I've been busy with with a number of things. One of the niggling things with the Nokia amp, with putting it in a little box and the rest, was I tried to include one of these AD8317, yeah, you can see it there, AD8317 RF measurement things, supposedly rated up to 10 gigahertz or thereabouts, and because I've got an Arduino in with the amplifier for PTT and things like that, and some semblance of fan control, I thought I would do that as well. It's not working very well and getting erratic outputs from it, and I suspect it's something to do with grounding or ground currents on coming in from the AMSAT amplifier, because using a straight generator on 2.4 gigahertz is no issue whatsoever, and I can see on the scope it's never mind what the Arduino thinks is coming from it. My scope is showing all sorts of nasty crud on the thing. It's almost as if the thing is locking up momentarily. So that's work in progress. Got all my bits for the Ryde and new mini tuner and all the rest. Got as far as putting the switches on the little front panel board. And once I get the IDC connector, made up the bits for that to arrive today, I'll be able to start doing things, because I can, of course, just plug in the other mini tuner that I have here. So plenty to keep me going. A few bits still to come, and the box that I'm going to put it in. And of course, that's the hardest bit of all, trying to get neat holes in a box and indeed getting them in the right place. So plenty to keep me busy in these long winter evenings. That's probably enough from me for the time being. I think it's Bernie G4HJW next. So this is GI4DOH for the group.
There we go. Thank you, Richard. I seem to follow you each week, which is fine by me. Makes it easier. But evening, everybody. I've been fairly busy this week, but only doing basic things. That flood, which you see on the card there, almost came in, but not quite. But it did cause a lot of damage to my neighbour. If I can only work out what it is. Right, I'll come back to my ugly mug, and tonight I'm copying everybody because I've been doing some work on the antenna with a little alignment aid, which I'll show in a minute. But I managed to get the AV to USB dongle. I'll put that on now, and that's allowed me to use a camera with a zoom, which is quite nice. I can show things a bit better. So the thing that came in the post today, two of these. It's Jenny, she's over Kuwait. Makes 62.5 amp at 12 volts. Server power supply is quite cheap. So and quite small. So I'm amazed if that can really put 750 watts out. But it's not going to be any good. Won't be any good for Jim's amplifier. I'm afraid, although it's 12 volts, so I think your amplifier is 28 volts, Jim. Not sure about that. So my AV camera, I also tried a nice old, let's have that on as well. I'll keep going backwards and forwards. Does anyone remember those? I've got what it's called now. Oh, PowerShot 40, and that gives quite a good picture, but I tend to use rechargeable batteries. They don't last 5 minutes, so I need to sort out the 5 volt supply on the side of that one, and that'll be this week's job, I think. have those off for the moment. But the thing I really have been doing, which I'm pleased about, and what's allowed me to see John for the first time, is do my little tuning aid. Which again, I'll go over to the other camera. There we go. And what that is you'll see there's an ADF 4351 board. Set that at 741.5. There's a mixer on here, diode mixer, as you can see. And I put that through a half meg IF filter, a low pass filter, so I can see both sides of the, since I've got the local insulator right in the middle, and then I've got an IF strip. I don't know if anybody has had any of these from Kevin in Finningley, but he had loads of these boards. They're really tunstall boards, and it's a BU4116 IC. It's a ROM IC. That works quite well, and then into into an op amp as a buffer, and then from that I have another op amp with a pot to set the reference level, and a gain pot, and that's made all the difference. So I get a very big. I've put the biggest meter on I could find, and I can get full scale on that. If I set on the wrong polarisation, set that to nothing, and then switch over, look at the beacon, I can set that to full scale. So it's really nice and sensitive, and that was dead easy to set up. Right, back to my ugly mode again. And that's helped me to get 8 dB on the beacon. I know from my 1.2 metre dish I should be getting a couple of dB more, but
all is well. Okay. Let's get into the camera. Yeah, evening everyone. Yeah, apologies for that first one. I don't know what happened there really. I had a little problem earlier. I switched the PA on and I was running it for a while and all was good. And then I came back in the shack and I'd realised I'd left the PA on but not the transmitter. I switched the transmitter on and I didn't get anything out of the PA, so that sort of implied that the PA had deceased. But I switched everything off, put it back on, and it was fine. So I don't know whether something's overheating, but it isn't really the time of year for things to be overheating because the amp is outside. Anyway, yeah, lots of good stuff already. Yeah, hi to Roger HKN, nice to see you on the net. Another one to add to the list of stations. I think there's a lot of UK stations on now, isn't there? It really is, so that's pretty good. Jim, PAs, yeah, I know you've got a lot of PAs there. I've also got quite a few, well not quite a few, but a few spare ones that I am planning to sort out, but because I don't need a great deal of power with the big dish, it hasn't been high on my priority list. I want to make a bigger PA for portable, so I can just use the 1 meter dish on top of the van, but still working on that. But yeah, I think last time when I used the van I managed to get 250 kilosymbols into the satellite. It was quite reasonable with 20 watts to an 80 centimeter dish. So if anyone's listening and they're thinking they can't get into the satellite, you can do it on quite a low level if you really need to. So yeah, 20 watts from one of them Spectrian PAs, the smaller ones, at a push. and 80cm dish, it is possible. So yeah, what have I been on with? Let's think. Not a great deal, to be honest. It's still all been KM stuff. Still playing around with the rides a little bit that are connected up to KM at the moment, and I've got them all working nice now. Don't know why I was getting lots of problems before, but it looks like it's all been down to SD card corruption, because I've basically wiped both of them, rebuilt the card, and everything's been good today. Absolutely perfect all day long today. They've been running with signals in and out and everything, so yeah. I don't know what was going on really, but I need to sort out something with them. I did say, if you saw my Cat 20 talk, I made some little UPS boards using supercapacitors and I can't remember, it was LT3, I can't remember the chip now, but it only generates about a 1 amp output from the supercapacitors to 5 volts. That was the little board that I made up with that. It's not really beefy enough for the Pi 4, it gets rather hot, and the device is only meant to do, tops out at like 1.5 amp or something, so I need to have another look at a UPS that kind of does the job, that isn't too big. But I like the supercapacitor idea because well, just low maintenance really. You kind of hope it's going to last a lot longer, and no batteries to leak everywhere and things like that. Who knows what's in the supercapacitor like, but anyway. What else? Not a great deal really, just KM and code stuff really. Been playing around with. I've got a couple more heat sinks for the Pi 4s that are running on the ride there. They get quite warm, don't they, with the decoding and everything. And if anyone spies on the ground they want to ask a question about, it's mostly a load of junk really, but you know, something might jump out at you, I don't know. There we go. Got another little thing I was meant to be putting on, but I totally forgot about, so there we are. Right, round 2, no. GTZ, M0DTS, and the BATC Net.
Right, evening all. So, interesting to see so many people on this evening. It's good. Just one comment about the ride. I was hoping to take a picture of it, and I didn't quite manage it. But so I've just done the update for to get around the problem we were all having the last week. And now, I mean, it's not a problem at all, but before it locks or before it decodes the station, you get the effect that you used to get with Mini Tuner on H.265 audio. Quiet. Give it another 10 dB. Presume that's better. Yeah. So the effect, the grey screen with the sort of watermark type stuff on it. I'll try and take a picture of it and show it next time round. So what's been happening here? Not a lot. Been pretty busy outside of ATV. Primarily had a very rushed job yesterday, doing the streaming and AV for a couple at the local church who were due to get married in a few days' time, but all of a sudden decided at the weekend they were going to get married on yesterday. So that
I'd sort of got roughly worked out what I was going to do, but all of a sudden I had to do it. So that took up a significant amount of time. And the other thing is, the postman arrived today, and I think John, JTT, and Bernie will probably be interested in this. So this is these 18-inch parabolas. Now the question is, which way is it? Or is it that way? Oh no, that's so that's it. 18-inch parabola. Originally they were bought with the intention of doing 122, but it sort of stirred the interest in optical, because of course you've now got, well, as you can see there, there's real potential for doing optical with this. So that's going to be pretty interesting, I think. I've ordered I never know quite how to pronounce them, but for light, is it, or one of these LEDs, projector LEDs. I've ordered a couple of those from the States on eBay, and yeah, that looks shiny. Yeah, that'll do. Still don't know how to pronounce it, Rob. Ordered a couple of those red ones. So anyway, I see myself being dragged down a very slippery slope with this. Surprisingly robust. Forget how thick they are. They're not over thick, but surprisingly nicely robust. So we'd spotted these a few weeks ago for 122, and we hummed and hawed, and then discovered that the company was having a 20% off last week, so that kind of paid the VAT. So there we are, something else to waste my time with, I'm sure, but yes, very interesting. Yes. Right, got a hole in it, so it's no good for that. Right, mustn't drop it. So there we go. That's about it from here. I'm sure that will prompt Bernie and John to say something, and even Rob. Right, round two, James. Oh dear, I got this wrong last time, didn't I? James. G0DQH to take it. G8GTZ on the BATC Net.
Okay. We have got signal. Just let me press the button. There we go. Yes, good evening everyone. G0DQH. Everyone good signals with me tonight. Around 7, which is much better than last week when I had difficulty getting anyone at all, and I think the maximum I was getting last week was around 3. So on Tuesday, Mo and I went out and we aligned the dish, and it's much better. I'm actually just over 7 myself, which is quite good. Noel, I think you were the strongest of all the signals tonight as well. I've been playing with HD, so you'll forgive me for this, but I'll bring the other camera in. The problem I have actually at the moment is space on the large monitor. So as you can see, everything at the moment. Normally I just run that, of course, but this is the Pluto controller, and I'll pull that down again, otherwise I won't see what I'm actually pointing at. I've got a new laptop. I suppose I've had it about a year now, and that's an i5, but it's only got two USB outs, an HDMI and an Ethernet. And I mean, it's a brilliant machine, but other than that, it's useless. So, so I thought maybe for HD I'd buy another PC, and I was talking to John today, and I think we were going to try and work around doing something else. So if I can, oh, there's the encoder and the Pluto flashing away, but not connected at the moment. The switch has got to go in there, and those are the drivers and the feeder to go down to the garage. I've got another monitor over there I can use if I need one. That's been with me a few years, works okay still. And the Windows 7 machine, which has decided to go to sleep, is there. And tucked behind there is the receiver, and that's powered via that. Of course, I've not. I haven't got the darn thing on, have I? Right, here we start again. We've got. I haven't switched it on. There's the Pluto, etc. And the rest of the shack, and the power supply for the if I can only just get it right over there on the floor, that supplies the LMD voltage. So it's coming, but it would be nice to get it actually all working. But as I said, at the moment, it's one of space that's the problem with everything I need to run. Okay, let's go back to there, and put that camera over there. Okay, that's me for this over, and pass it back. Just let me check who's next on the list. Oh gosh, you've moved down a long way, haven't you? G4NKV is next, I believe, from G0DQH. So we'll just go back to okay, from G0DQH.
Well, hello again, here we are. After my first attempt last week, I have finally got around to upgrading the ports down. It's now on Buster 2020 software, and it does seem a vast improvement. I did have a few little issues with it. I did get a bit concerned when I upgraded the Lime, and actually it reported 3 failures, further investigation required. But then I noticed a message below it that when you put the custom DVB firmware on it, it does fail tests. It failed on 3 points. TX2 LNAW test, the RF loopback test, and board test. There was 3 failures, but it does seem to work. I just wonder if anyone can comment, perhaps Dave, are those the failures that you would expect when you do the custom firmware update? So looking at the video, it is a lot better than what I had with the stretch software that I was using last week. So thanks Dave, you're doing a great job with the software there, keep it up. Other things I've been trying to do is get used to OBS. In fact, I did go out and buy a cheap USB camera. It's this one, I got it from PC World, it's an Advent one. It works fine with OBS. I didn't think at the time that the video was a little, the display was a little soft. And I've just noticed, of course, I haven't taken the film off the lens. So that's working fine. I've tried to get the is it the 920? It's out of stock just about everywhere. I did go up PC World site and asked them to send me an email when it's back in stock, and this Monday morning I've been working from home, and when I switched the computer on I got the message saying it's in stock, and I thought, well, I'm working, I can't do anything now. So I looked back at dinner time, oh, they've all been sold out again. So I think there must be a lot of people home working who want one of those, so that's thrown that up. I've also, from eBay, got a HDMI capture device. It was only about £15. I don't know if you can see it at that. Video capture. That's better. And with OBS, it does seem to work quite well, so quite pleased at that. But what I am totally failing on at the moment is trying to work out how to get OBS and the ports down to work together. I've tried to follow the instructions on the wiki using OBS, and I had the problem with the FMP meg. I followed the link in the wiki, and it went to the site. I thought, right, great. Click on it, and oh, there's a few Windows versions to pick from. So I chose one of them, and it took me to another site, and the amount of choice was quite staggering. I picked one, downloaded it. Now, Kaspersky says it's full of Trojans, so it's deleted some files in it. So I tried another one. Oh, the same Trojan again. Files deleted. Looked on YouTube and found out about it, and I looked at other people downloading the software, and it took them to a different site, not the one I went to. So I could read from the YouTube video the site address, so I put that in directly, and it now seems that site is the domain's up for sale, so that site's gone. I did find another source of the program and put that on the computer, and it seems to be working as it should. But then I got a bit stuck with the PH threads, the files you've got to replace. I've downloaded those and found that it says replace the files, the existing files, with these. Well, a lot of ones that I've got to replace just don't exist to start with. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm going to have to do some more looking at that, but I would love to get OBS working with the ports down. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at next. Try and sort that out. It's a very complicated program. Not much else at the moment. I've still not got onto my big amp. I went out today and found out that the box I've got, I put it in a what you would call a street cabinet outside. It's a Schneider one. It's got a clear front on it, not glass, it's perspex. It's meant to be rated to IP66, but unfortunately rain's getting in. So I'm still running on the small spectrum 20 watt amplifier at the moment, but certainly after last week's poor video performance, the 2020 Buster software is a massive upgrade. Anyway, that's enough from me just for now. Pass it over. It's G4 KLV to take it. This is G4 NK.
That might be better, hopefully. Oh dear, oh dear. That might be better, hopefully. Oh dear, oh dear. And I've got to mute that now. Come on. There we go. Right. Oh, hey, stop it. I've got. I'm watching on a Ryde today. The first time I've used a Ryde in anger for watching the net. And it's been working very well, I have to say. We've got development software on there. I haven't noticed any other issues myself, so I'll keep an eye out on the next time round, I think. So that should be all right. Messing about in here. So I've been playing with the Ryde. I've got SQ's one on here at the moment, but it's I put it. It's been scanning QO100 because it's obviously there's more signals on there. So that's been working very well actually. Quite a bit of fun actually having it on in the scan mode. It covers almost half the band at the lower symbol rates. And no, not broken. No. Slight embarrassment last week when I managed to break everybody's Ryde. That was spectacular, that. But but I'm using one myself this week, so that's very good. Been playing with OBS as I managed to wipe everything, and then I had to start it all over again. So I'm gradually getting that back together, and I've been playing with this little capture dongle as well, which works well in OBS with this camera, this little Panasonic that's got HDMI out. And so that's been working very well. We've got the sound working now. When you put it in OBS, it comes up with a slider for the volume, but that isn't the one that works. You have to go in audio capture and select the digital one, and then it works very well actually. So that will allow me to play videos and such like with the audio now. So that's a whole lot better, really. So that's the main sort of thing. The other thing I've been doing is I've been playing with the Plutos. They haven't managed to get into a box yet. I noticed there's suggestions of heat sinking and such like as well. This one has had the Earth mods. It's got an Abracon TCXO in it, and it's running Every's Alpha software. So we've been playing with that, and so that we can send H.265 to the Rydes that are in GB3 SQ. I had a few complaints about the audio because I'd set it to 32, and that was a little bit thin. So I've wound that up a little bit, and hopefully everyone's happy about that now. I've not had much success getting H.264 to work particularly well, but so that's a work in progress. Then we can obviously play with that. So we've fallen back to the Portsdown 2020 for this evening, as that seems to work, but it does preclude me waving the camera about a little bit. Strictly speaking, I can wave that one about, but that's that. Right, so I'm determined to get this working. I'd say it's been working quite well on H.265. What I've been using is just the Pluto plugged into the PC, and then the output going up to the QA100 amplifier, or if it's going to SQ, I just put an aerial on the end of it. And using the NVIDIA graphics card, I thought I'd just as well, since as I've got one that's capable. In fact, I think there's two cores in this NVIDIA one that would actually work. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's quite good at times, but knowing what to tweak and such like, it seems a bit of a minefield. But nonetheless, we'll crack on with that. So it's handy to be able to say to put H.265 into the local repeater, which is only over there actually. Oh, and you might notice there's a new 3D printer. They're so cheap I couldn't resist it. So this is an Enders 3 V2. It's got all the mods on it, and it's very impressive actually for what they cost. And they're quite cheap really. I've paid more for upgrades for my other one actually than that thing cost altogether. It's got the silent, but it's actually really quiet apart from the fan. Really quiet. So that's good, because the other Ender has gone into a cabinet to print ABS. My lad's built this cabinet. He's well into the 3D printing at the minute, so I'm sort of encouraging him a bit by he'll probably get this, and I'll put my other one back eventually. But the one I built, I'm determined to get working. I wanted it working better than a cheapie. So mine is far better mechanically, in theory, but this one is beating my prints, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's only a temporary setback. So there we are. Right, okay then, that's probably enough, because there's quite a few on tonight. Yeah, so as far as OBS and OBS and the ports down is concerned, that it is a little bit confusing. I've done it once, but I couldn't remember. I'll have to study those instructions again. Certainly, I had some. I found vMix to be a lot easier for some work, but I can't really use vMix because the limitation on the number of inputs is just too restrictive. So I've committed to OBS now, although I keep messing it up by doing things I'm not supposed to do. But anyway, it's a learning curve. So because I've got virtually unlimited inputs on that, so been using the virtual camera for the Cat 20 and such like. So that seemed to work all right. I had some issues with audio. I've still not resolved all my audio issues. Some of it's Windows doing nasty things to me. Every time you plug something in, it changes things around. Windows 10 is a nightmare for that. And also I've had distorted audio, which has also been a problem to resolve. I haven't really resolved it yet, but seems to be. I seem to get the picture all right most of the time, but the audio is a bit of a problem. I guess it's to Dave, is it now? I should think. Yes, it is. So G8 GKQ to take it. G4KLB.
Gosh, that sounds noisy. Just trying to mute this. That's good. Just trying to mute this local monitor. Right, I thought I would show what I've been up to. Finally got some viewfinder here, so let's have a look. Right, this is an analog video monitor. It's actually one of the £3 ones bought from a rally. This happens to be a Raspberry Pi 3B. It could be a Raspberry Pi Zero. And this is the test card generator for composite video. Down the bottom here we have a button and a switch. If I press the button, then it cycles through the cards. So you've got the bouncing balls with captions running across it. different test card behind the bouncing balls, full screen test card F, full screen PM55544, full screen test card C, just for fun, colour bars one way, grayscale the other, pulse and bar, and contest numbers, all generated out of a Raspberry Pi 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. Back to the test card, and if you flick the switch you get the Raspberry Pi camera working as well. So that's a little thing to go in a box to do composite video, now that the Raspberry Pi 4 doesn't. And I'll be writing that up for the next CQTV, but the source is available on the BATC GitHub, and I've actually done an SD card release, just an image, which is on my GitHub, if anybody wants to take a look at that. So that's one project. The other project, which is a bit more difficult, is over here in the diecast box, and that's the ADF 5355 SIGGEN, wired up with the PIC programmer there, and it's got the PIC in there, and it's got the 12-way channel select switch on the front and the 5-way reference switch on the back. So that's 12 volts in, any frequency from 54 megs to 13 gigs out, and the pre-selector switch will select one frequency so that I can GPS lock it. Oh, and if that's not enough, there's a new Ryde development version out. And if nobody reports any problems on that, that'll go out as a full release, and I'll start selling the cards in the shop at the weekend. All the H.265 issue you had, I've seen it very occasionally, but it's nothing we can do anything about, so we'll just live with it. Right, so let's put the camera around. This is going to be a bit in the face. Let's move back a bit. Does that work? Yeah, that works. My notes, Jim, you're doing well with the PAs, really impressed with that. Your audio was a bit stuttery, but nothing. Jason commented on the chat about the audio being very stuttery. Windows codecs are very fussy. Those of us running ports, downs or rides to receive don't have the problem so much. Yep, Roger, I was still at school when we first started doing ATV. Your confusion between Hailing and Winter Hill. Winter Hill is the new receiver. Hailing was going to be the Microwave Group's SDR transceiver, but it never came to anything, and the one that did work was Langston, which is on the way to Hailing. Stations that look to be 16 4x3 and should be 16:9, if you're using Minituner, Windows codecs put it to 4x3 even though it is 16:9, so it's a Windows codec issue. You can select the right shape in Minituner on the right hand side. Yeah, those power sensors, Richard, they do seem to be sensitive to RF flying around. I've seen that before. Bernie, when you went over to the HDMI sensor, there was quite a bit of clicking on your audio, and I take it that's because it's coming out of VLC through VLC or OBS. But I was almost amused to see that it happened on a non-ports down thing, because I've had real problems with clicky audio. Noel, I've got a pile of bits here for you to build your Winter Hill, but I haven't sorted them out yet. I'll get them to you when I have done. Nick, your picture was really good tonight, but it was a 4x3 picture. Sorry, it was a 16:9 picture transmitted as 4x3. You might want to try selecting 16:9 on the ports down control, and you'll get the right aspect ratio. Lime tests, they always fail. Don't worry about it. If the lime works, it works. The latest version of Lime Suite, which I haven't put in the ports down build yet, apparently fixes that, but I'm worried it will break something else, so I haven't bothered. FFmpeg, you clearly got some dodgy download links, because as I recall it loaded really easily, but I haven't tried all the H.265 stuff. And people talking about trying to load H.265, particularly Jim, load Pluto and OBS and everything. The reason I haven't written it up, and I agree it needs to be written up, is it's all so hardware dependent and everything. And that's why with the ports down we've gone down the simple route, or the controlled route on the Nano. You can do H.265 on the Nano, and in fact I'm encoding my H.264 tonight on the Nano. So there we are. That was once round everybody, and it's 9 o'clock already. But I think that's been a really interesting net to see what so many people are up to. I will then put it round. We can go round once more, but fairly free flow. So round to G7NTG next. G8GKQ standing by, and there'll be a light touch. People can just go as they want. G8GKQ.
Yeah, G7NTG returning. My audio's a little bit on the quiet side, but I can't hear it because I mute it. I won't be on long. I just wanted to mention, as Colin says, I've been using the Ryde with the development version, which I downloaded 2 days ago. So I wonder if that's the latest one. But it's been working faultlessly tonight, absolutely spot on. So I'm very, very pleased with that, and it's given good reports too. I did give a report to John JDT because he was worried about power levels. Somebody mentioned about power supplies. Well, my power amplifier I'm using at the moment uses a 32 volt supply, as does this one I showed the pictures of on the first way round, and that's just three 12 volt 33 amp power supplies in series and turned down to 10.7 volts each, and with some reverse bias diodes to protect against short circuit. All I'm doing is plugging in the power supply. If I move the camera to turn off and on my transmission, I just pull this plug out, and that's the power supply for the low level driver amplifier, which you can see here. That's about a 26 dB gain amp, which is driving a Wi-Fi amp. That Wi-Fi amp, incidentally, works very nicely at 2.4 gigs, gives about 3 watts output, and also it works very nicely at 23 sems with about 8 dB gain. So that's useful in some cases. And I like the test card generator, Dave. That's a very nice looking bit of kit. I must play with that. That does seem nice. So I think I shall download that. Right, I'm not going to give a chance now. Now I presume it's round to John, if providing is still here. So G7JTT, this is G7NT.
Right, there we go. Let's just kill my own audio. To Roger, before I forget. Yeah, I lived in, I can't remember the name. Was it Hollingbourne Towers? Yeah, Hollingbourne Towers, I think. It was about 30 odd years ago. Long story short, we were very young. The wife was heavily pregnant, and we ended up in there just at about the time when we had the hurricane. And this tower block I lived in, it had a basement, which is where all the cars and stuff used to go. And we were 3 floors up, and I think it was either 10 or 11 floors, something like that, whatever it was. And in the couple of years that I lived there, someone set light to the lifts. They filled the lifts up with newspaper and set light to it. And of course, as the lift went up, it drawed and it just set light to the whole place. That was the first thing. Second thing was, in the great storm, when we had the hurricane pass through, the famous Mr. Fish one, we had scaffolding at the side of the tower block, and it was all linked into our balconies. So as it went up, every couple of balconies, it all got tied into it. Anyway, this thing came away along with the roof that was up on top as well, smashed all the cars that were down below. And if you can imagine, if that's a tower block, or if that's a tower block rather, the scaffolding was literally like that. It was only tied into our balcony, and that was the only thing that was holding it up. And there was 8 or 9 floors above us that had come over. And when they finally got around to doing something, which was a good couple of days later, they left it like that. They brought a great big crane in. The crane held it, and then the scaffolders came in and built scaffold up around it, and then they took it all back down again. And then we had the the great snows of whatever year that was. My eldest child was only a matter of months old, I think. Yeah, it was only, I think it was only literally 2, maybe 3 months old, and we got snowed in there, and the snow was that bad. We couldn't get out. We were proper snowed in, and I remember the snow ploughs coming down eventually, and they came in Chelsea Road round the back of us, and all they done was shoot the snow up either side. So rather than being about 8 or 9 feet of snow, we had sort of 20-foot drifts, and we couldn't get around to the road. So then we had to get someone to come along and dig pathways through all this these drifts that they created, and we finally managed to get out. But I had to walk from there to Orpington to get some food, and thankfully one of the farmers around there realised what was going on. He bought a tractor out of a trailer, and we all jumped on the back, and he took us into town to get the shopping and come back out again. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time living in Orpington. So I think it's changed somewhat now. Last time I was there, it seems to have improved. The other funny story I quickly tell is that I had a freewheel Robin Reliant, mainly because I'd only ever drove bikes and scooters and stuff like that. So I only had a motorcycle license. So anyway, again, cut a long story short, we had this freewheel Robin Reliant, and when you come out of the back of roads to live in Orpington, there was a road that used to go down to a place called Ainsford, and at Ainsford used to be a pub, and that used to be my local. And we used to go down there, and we'd have a few beers and whatnot, and we'd drive back down. And a lot of these lanes down around there are these sort of sunken lanes, so they're very, very high walls of dirt, so you couldn't do anything, and they were only single track. And yeah, we used to have some really good fun coming back from there. Totally wrong, and certainly wouldn't encourage it. But as a young teenage tearaway, whatever, yeah, it was good fun. So, but yeah, it's. I don't think I'd go back there, to be honest. Where we are now in Southampton, Southampton has its own issues, but nothing like back up in London. And you're right, it is Kent. It's not Bromley. It's definitely Kent. So I agree with you on that. Right, with that, I'm going to stop waffling, and I forgot who's next again. Roger, by the looks of it. Around to you, G7 JTT.
1, 2. Right, I'm on. Yeah, I wasn't planning on becoming on the second time, but I'll come back on to just answer a couple of things to John there. And also I hope to put the test card on properly this time. Yeah, John, the block of flats, there is a G7WIR Martin in those flats at the moment, or at least I haven't heard him for a while, but I believe he's still there, and he puts in an incredible signal. And okay on the fires and the storm. We were living in Sidcup at that time. I've been in Orpington since 1990. And we've had a similar thing with the snowplows, because we're on the main road. They came along, but they came along after everybody had cleared their driveways, and snowplow came along and pushed it all back off the road onto the pavement onto people's driveways, so they had to clear them all again. I'm getting a problem with audio, intermittent audio on quite a few of the stations tonight. I don't know whether it's the mini tuner that is getting tired. The only one that was solid was Colin, but he knows he had a bit of trouble the other day with a sort of harsh audio. His lip sync is quite bad on that particular camera. I think it's okay on the other one. And okay on Southampton. Well, I've been down to Chandler's Ford and to see Jim or James, and so I was on that occasion quite close to where you are, but I came off the motorway directly. I didn't actually come around the back roads. Right, I think that's all from me. I think it's going to be Rob next. Let me see if I can put a test card on without mucking it up this time. Right, I'm previewing. So that's a good start. Okay, we're on the test card. When the test card goes off, it will be round to Rob.
Clunk. Yeah, I need to get a quieter switch, don't I? I always comment on that. Right. So, I set up what I was going to set up earlier. So this comes all the way back to my problem on 70 sems, or our problem in the northeast on 70 centimeters. So this is what we see. Why have you not got that? Well, my receiver hasn't got that. That's strange. Okay. Just double check. Resync that. See what it's doing. Okay, it is working. Right, that's fine. So that's 70 sems. Bit to the left. Right, if I drag this over, so any normal sort of 333 kilosymbols transmission on 70 sems would be about there. 437 dead with all these big spikes and going on, which emanates from Farlingdales. Not a lot we can do about that really. If you're running 2 megasymbol, you'll overlap with that lot of pulses there and the one on the other side, which is at 436 as well, when you're 2 megahertz wide. So you end up with lots of these great big pulses which seem to hover around the zero frequency, 437.0, 438.0 and so forth. So you can see the pattern there quite clearly on the waterfall where it is. So we've opted at the moment up here for 437.5. That's what we're going to try and use anyway. or maybe 436.5, I don't know yet. Still in that usable area anyway. So to try and get away from some of this really strong signal, as you can see there, it's like 50 dB over the noise, some of them pulses on 77. So what I have got is, if I just switch over to the camera, right, good. So I've got my trusty Lime SDR there, which I never use. People will probably think, oh, what did you buy that for? That was one of the early ones. It was all really good at the time, but I haven't done a great deal with it. But this is a temporary use anyway. So yeah, Lime SDR, GNU radio loaded up on here. Basically, there's the input source on GNU radio for the Lime, programmed up for 77s, and it basically just goes straight out to the transmit port on the Lime. The only difference is, I've added a couple of waterfall and the spectrum analyzer things, so that's what's running on the plot there. So if I zoom into there, I haven't got the HDMI out of the laptop to share this from, so you'll have to bear with us on the camera. I think it'll probably come through okay. Let that settle a little bit. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, basically on the Lime suite you can set the digital filter bandwidth quite quickly. I've just got a couple of where they are. Just got a little slider on here, so if I slide this down to say 1 megahertz and then switch back to the SDR receiver, so yeah, I've got an antenna connect. Actually, yeah, I'll just go back to that one. So my antenna goes into the receive port on the Lime, just for a bit of clarification there, and the transmit port on the Lime goes into my AirSpy SDR, which is down here at the bottom. So basically we're going through the Lime, but not doing any down conversion or anything. It's coming out the same frequency. So all I've done on there now is narrow the filters on the Lime, which is the built-in ones that are on board, and then fed that back to the AirSpy, which is on SDR Angel here. So you can see so far now we've got rid of a lot of the spikes, but I haven't quite got rid of it enough yet. We've still got half of the sort of things around 437. This bit up here, can't really see. You can see the pointer either side. So if we narrow that in a little bit more, go down sort of half again to, let's go down to about 450 kilohertz. There we go. So that's now down to 450 kilohertz, roughly a 333 kilosymbol sort of bandwidth, and you can see we do still get some pulses there, but it's massively reduced compared with what we normally get either side. So I'm kind of hoping that the same arrangement connected through my antenna connected through into the mini tune or Ryde or whatever, Steric tune I should have said, is going to be less affected by all these pulses when I'm out portable, with a line of sight to the source of all this. So basically there was not a lot to do on the software, so if I can get that working with the Raspberry Pi and GNU Radio on the Raspberry Pi, we can do a few tests with that. But it's a nice quick way of filtering out something without actually building any filters. So you don't get quite as much dynamic range as you normally would and things, but you've got to be careful on the gain level settings of the input and output. But it gives us a nice chunk of the band to look at, and that might be quite useful if you are trying to do 2 meters. And you need to get away from really strong signals on 145.8 or 145.7, a repeater that's nearby, and you want to use 146.5 instead of using a narrow or a narrow-ish mechanical filter. You could do it like this, as long as there's not too strong a signals. So yeah, I thought I'd share that one. It's quite interesting. I'd like to make up, have some ideas to replace the Lime and some other stuff with basically a quadrature down converter to baseband, filter it at baseband digitally with the ADC and DAC, and then reconvert back up and do a quadrature up conversion back up to some frequency again, and do it that way with some separate hardware rather than having to use the laptop and the Lime and things like that. A cheaper version, but it's quite an interesting little project I've got in the background at some point. So there we go. Thought that one might be of interest. So yeah, you can still see quite a lot of pulses off from Farlandales there, but I am beamed directly at it. It's not quite as bad when I'm beamed away. But there we go. Right, okay, so who is next? GI4DOH. Right, you were listening to us there, Dave, put you out on the ball. Right, test card up, and we shall see you all next week. Yes, I will. When do I finish next week? I'm working till Thursday, but yeah, I'll probably be a bit late on next week when I'm on. So, okay, 7.3. 0 DTS.
One, two, three. M0 DTS with the group. This is GI4DOH. All interesting stuff there, Rob, and I'm going to come to comment on interference in a minute when I can get the volume down, stop distracting myself. While this was all going on during the first round, I had a little job running on my 3D printer. I've now got a little bezel for the to cover the little control buttons on the Ryde receiver. It's one of the things is I can drill holes, no problem at all, but it's getting square and rectangular things is something which I always have trouble with. One of the things is the little infrared sensor, actually wanting to get it right out as close to the front as I can. I've actually got a little sort of rectangular recess on the back of the bezel, which should let it actually stick out beyond the front of the bezel, and get all-round coverage with the remote control. Hopefully Senna's got that lovely little semi-dome on the surface. Other things that I'm working on at the moment, I've got a box of shelf brackets, and one of the things is to get the Pluto and the little AMSAT amplifier onto just a little sub-shelf, get them out of the way with all the cables. They're a permanent installation now, so I may get them out of harm's way. As everybody knows, the Pluto doesn't like any form of movement with the little micro USB cable going into it. So that's all planned for the coming days. On what you were saying, Rob, about the trouble on 70 centimeters, when I first got introduced to DATV by John, GI7UGV, he lives in Newton Ards, which is about 4 miles away from here, not much more than that, but there's a hill between us, and indeed there are old lead mines there, and they're renowned for stopping HF getting between us. But the basic problem is we think it's a paging site on top of the hill, and there are tremendous signals on around the 153 megahertz and the 138 megahertz, and they just flatten things like the mini tuner and any other SDR receiver that you might like to use in that frequency range. So I got on to those awfully nice people at Antennas Amplifiers, explained my problem in showing them the spectrum display, and they produced this this one-off custom bandpass filter, and they claim to be over 40 dB down, at 138 megahertz and 153 megahertz. So I'm an HF guy, HFCW guy, so I know nothing about filters and the rest for VHF and upwards, but I'm learning, and that was an easy way of getting around that. There's an insertion loss of, I think, just over a dB, 1.7 dB at 146 megahertz. Obviously for receive only, I don't care about those frequencies on transmit, but it did the job. John and I can exchange DATV signals on 146 megahertz. I've just got a Watson 3-band vertical on the apex of the house here, and it's just enough, just about get John on that, and also 70 centimeters. So apart from that, we have one other station, GI3VAW, I think, BAF. Robert, it's getting late. So there's not a lot of DATV activity around here, but that's got round that 2 meter problem for me, and should I ever wish to do other things on 2 meters with an SDR receiver that wouldn't like those sort of signals, I do have a bandpass signal. So that's enough for me for the night. It's been great to be on again. And have things stable, just switch on and go. This is good. Touching wood. So I'll pass it on to Bernie, who I think is next, and wish you all a good night. Hopefully I'll see you all next week. So it will be G4HJW, yeah, just check in on the screen in case there are any last minute changes. Bernie with the group. This is GI4DOH clear. See you all next week.
Right, I think somebody else came up just before I was going to transmit, so that was the delay. And yes, okay on your comments, Richard. I'm new to DATV, so it's all of this is new for me, and I'm enjoying it so far. But I've got cramp. Ouch! Oh. It's a bit cold in here, and I'm getting older. And when you said that it's getting late because you couldn't remember a call sign, I can't remember call signs at any time, which is a bit of a problem. Robert, it was interesting to see filing sales again. It's 50 years since I last saw that. When I grew up in North Lincolnshire when I first got 77s. That was a damn nuisance, but I suppose it would be with all that power. And if I'm moving around, you know what the problem is. Bloody hell. Other comments. Let me go over to that AV converter. I heard what you said, Dave. I didn't quite understand what the mechanism would be. So presumably, as soon as I go over to that, you're getting breakup of audio. But I want to go over to it because, just quickly, now that's the image filter that I use, and I can go down to an IR for 20 megs, which I think I said the other day, which is quite useful. But I'm getting pulsing or oscillating of the brightness level, and I'd assume that's my LED lighting strobing with the 50 hertz time base. But tell me if you think that's wrong, because it's a very cheap I am in pain, a very cheap dongle. So I'll go back again just in case that's messing up the audio. I didn't understand that. And the dish was lovely. Noel, if I look pained, you know it's not because of your dish. That did look nice. But I don't think I've done any optical here, really. The first optical I had was up in Rob's. And I took some gear up, was on holiday, and Stuart, GHCYW, said, well, bring the gear up. And that was my first QSO. And other than that, all I've ever done is go up to the Wolds and work from there. I've never done anything from here, which is a shame, I'm afraid. What else? And the flat light will be fantastic. You'll blind yourself and everybody else. But well done on forgetting that. No, that'll be very good. So okay, that's it for me. Try and keep it short, and I'll try and sort out this cramp. So good catch everybody tonight, and let's see you all next week. And what have I got on my card? It's Noel, isn't it? So yeah, I'm keeping it short, but that doesn't mean I wasn't impressed with the dish, and I did take note of all the comments now about that. So excellent, and I'll put my name down for the next build of 122 gig boards if he goes ahead. So that will be interesting.
Okay, Bernie, good. Yeah, my ride suffered the same fate as well. It leapt across onto the next station. I did the other thing and went for a reset on the app, but of course the problem with doing a reset on the app is it goes back to the beacon, and so I then had to select the preset again. So something not, I guess. Yeah, the other problem I'm seeing it on most. Yeah, this is what I'm seeing in between overs on most people actually. But as I say, it's not particularly important. That was before it got lock on G4NKV, but hadn't decoded him. And you need to change startup preset to. Yeah, I know, I could do that. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing, and I do see it on most people. But I mean, it's not a problem. But just for the record. What else? Yeah, not sure quite what I'm going to do about the optical, I must admit. As I say, the dish wasn't bought for doing optical. It's bought for 122. But clearly, a secondary application is going to be we could use it on we can do it on optical. So you have an old VLC stuck in the background if you used apps reset. Okay. So there we go. Nothing much else from me. We're running late, so I'll drop off. But as I say, yeah, that's right. Optical is a second choice, but of it, I think what really triggered the thought was if we use the dish on 122, then we could in fact use the dish with an LED for optical alignment, and therefore that leads you into doing optical comms. So that was the thought process, but all good fun, and no doubt ideas will develop over the next few weeks. Right, G4NKV next to take it. G8GTZ and the BATC Net.
Well, hopefully I'm back on okay. I've altered my preset on the ports down to 16 to 9, yes. Turn the audio off, I'm distracting myself. Yeah, been a very interesting night. Thanks for your comments, Dave, on the line being perfectly okay. As I say, what I've got to get cracked next is this OBS issue. Definitely must have been a dodgy download, because when I switched the computer on tonight, first thing Kaspersky did was say it's detected this Trojan again. What it had found was the archive I downloaded, which I put in trash can. It said it couldn't disinfect it, so I emptied the trash to clear that. But the links do seem perhaps a bit dodgy at the moment where it takes you. As I say, looking at YouTube, when you selected the Windows builds and not the Linux or the Mac ones, it used to go to a different site, but that site no longer exists. It's a domain that's become available. I think it probably has only been within the last month. So I've got a lot to learn there. Regarding filters for 2 meters, here's one I've made. I do have issues with pages above and below 2 meters. I've got an amplifier preamp up at the moment, but this is a better filter for it. I've had it built about a year and not actually got around to putting it up yet, so that's something I've got to do. Definitely have problems here with Filingdales. It's only a few miles over the hill. We're up on moors, not far from Robin Hood's Bay, and Filingdales is barely, you know, we could walk to it, I suppose, if we wanted, through the forest. It's not far at all, and definitely got issues. Anyway, I'll say 73s to everybody. Catch you hopefully next week, and 73s, and have a good time. Who's next? I've got, I think it's Colin next, isn't it? G4KLB. Hope I've got that right. This is G4NKV.
Right, thanks a lot. Excellent. Okay, that was quick. That was a quick lock on the ride that time. Right, thanks a lot. Excellent. Okay, that was quick. The mute doesn't work very well on my little gadget that I'm using to listen to the audio. There we go. Right, okay, I better make this brief then, don't I, really? I'm supposed to be getting a talk ready for tomorrow. I've been contacted by the Pool Radio Society. A certain G1 Tex has contacted me, so I'm sure I remember reading articles from him when I was a boy. I thought, anyway. maybe it was later than that, possibly. Anyway, so I should be putting the finishing touches to that, so that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. Just on the infrared thing, we made up a little custom board for the ones for the repeater. We've got a little surface mount. Will that focus? It might focus. Little surface mount infrared one on there, and that fits through the hole quite well. So that's very good. Okay, that's it. I think time has beaten us today. So my video's jumpy on Minitune, but it's fine on the ride. There we go. Anyway, there we are. Okay then. 73s then. Catch you all next week.
Brilliant. That lighting is awful. Sorry, let's put some lighting on. What a really good net. Lots of interesting stuff. Some common themes there. Difficulty in setting up OBS. Yeah, we need another guide. I think, Nick, you're trying to set it up on a Mac. I think that's perhaps why not many other people have been down the route you've been down. The other common factor, I think, is poor audio when listening with Minitune. That's not a Minitune issue, it's a Windows codec issue. And the Windows codecs are very fussy. Ryde, yeah, it does lock to the signal below quite easily. It's something we're investigating, but I think tonight has proved that Ryde is good enough to be released, so we'll start selling SD cards in the shop once I move it over to the production site. Thanks, Tim, for all your work on that. And good to see better the 16:9 pictures there, really good. Right, I'll leave it at that for tonight. Thanks all for coming on, and see you next Thursday. GHGKQ closing the BATC Net. Good night to all the watchers. I've seen there are plenty of them there, Don and all sorts. And we'll see you on next week, Jason. GHGKQ QRT.